Welcome to Business Class. I'm Steve Ekstrom from Learn Tourism, a nonprofit academy dedicated to advancing the tourism industry through innovative training and sustainable practices. Our mission? To empower travel professionals and communities with the knowledge they need to create meaningful, authentic, and sustainable tourism experiences. Ready to join us on this journey? Visit learntourism.org and start making a difference today.
Good morning.
Good evening.
It is 6 a.m. here in the New Mexico desert.
Oh, New Mexico. Wow.
It's beautiful. I'm waiting for the
Oh.
sun to come up. There's a 270-degree view of the horizon.
Oh,
So-
wow. So it's dark, isn't it?
Very.
Very.
That's my humor and love. Outside, it's also
Oh, it's so sunny outside. It's just glorious. Just darken your soul.
It's-
We're off to a good start.
This is the kind of conversation that I like to start with.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
it's a hook. You want to listen, you want to hear more, right?
I
Well,
want to hear
you
more
listen-
about your soul.
And love life is so inexistent that a look
Oh,
like,
what? A Swiffer.
yes, a duster.
This is a new word.
Oh, yeah, Swiffer's
The brand. Yeah, okay. I gotcha. All right. Hopefully you haven't got too many Swiffers lying around.
times are
Good to see you.
good to see you. Thank you for having me
Yeah.
on the podcast.
Thank you for having me on yours. This is going to be such a wacky conversation. I can feel it.
We're already off to a good start. So
Yeah.
I'll introduce myself.
Please do.
I'm Steve Ekstrom, CEO and co-founder of the nonprofit Learn Tourism, where we now have over 75,000 students all around the world learning how to build their communities through tourism sustainably.
Wow. I have a question. When 75,000 students,
Yeah.
who are your students?
Our students are community members, business partners, frontline workers who have a vested interest in building sustainable tourism economies in their communities.
Mm.
So it could be somebody who wants to be a tourism ambassador in Washington State, or it could be the president of a small village in Nepal that's working on development. Yes, there are people who are executives and destinations who are also students, but really we work with them to educate them.
Community. And when you say sustainable tourism, do you mean sustainable as in green tourism or sustainable as in multifaceted, economically sustainable for the community?
So sustainability really does cover all three things, right? Are we preserving culture? Are we preserving community? The physical attributes of the area which bring in visitors, environmentally, and profitability. Are we giving them tools to make a long-term benefit for their community, or is this just going to be a turn and burn? So we do focus on all three.
I want to come back. Sorry, I'm just hijacking all the questions here. But
That's
well,
fine.
now actually, I'm just going to riff on this. Economically, now I have a controversial standpoint on this for the Australian and New Zealand tourism industry, in that I don't think the economics of running a business in the tourism industry is taken as seriously as it should be, or we spend a lot of time running training sessions on how to be a sustainable business, how to be an inclusive and accessible business, which are all really important things. I can't remember the last time I saw an RTO run a training workshop on how to be an economically viable business, increase your ROI, tweak your visitor experience, or use your team to not leave money on the table when you have guests in-house. So how is that approached on your side of the world, Stephen? Is this a conversation that's had for operators?
It's very similar. I'm speaking next week to the American Indigenous Tourism Association about welcoming global markets. We are talking the soft skills related to business. Are you managing your revenue? Are you managing your expenses? Are you capitalizing on other opportunities? Are you getting repeat visitors? Are you managing your marketing spend so that it's lower per cap?
Yeah, okay.
So Those are soft skills that go into any sort of business. And yes, you're right. A lot of RTOs or DMOs, as we might say here in the
Mm,
States, overlook those in favor
yeah.
of whatever the flashy thing is today. Are you using
Yep.
AI? Are you capitalizing on trade show participation or whatever
Yeah.
that thing might be?
Yeah.
But if you aren't running this business, then it's a hobby.
I've had this discussion many times over the years with colleagues. I think it's like 95% of tourism businesses in Australia are micro businesses with less than 20 employees. And for a lot of them, they're one bad season away from no longer being in existence. So
With COVID,
yeah, that's so true.
there was a weeding or a culling of the herd
Mm,
in the tourism space. Two things rose to the top during COVID. For one, were those organizations could be responsive to their economic and community need,
mm,
and those who were innovative. What we had were a lot of businesses that came out a cash
mm,
business, and that's not sustainable in
no,
uncertain.
yeah,
Those were the companies
yeah.
that really struggled. Those were the companies that had business models that were 20 or 30 years old and had never learned to evolve.
Mm,
It's one of the things that I like where we work. We are a learning organization, first and foremost. Everybody on our staff walks into a team meeting ready to talk about what they learned last week and how to apply it. Learn from
mm.
each other. We learn independently. We learn from third-party sources. And the goal is to be better today than we were yesterday.
How's that going?
Not so bad.
Yeah, pretty good. Killer.
Pretty good so far.
That's a fantastic goal.
I tell my team, regardless of what your job function is, there are two metrics that your job is measured on. One is the quantifiable, did you produce what it was that you were supposed to produce? Whatever the numbers are, whatever the feedback is, whatever that thing is. The second piece is, are you learning? Tell my team, you can miss one or the other. But if you're missing both,
Yeah,
it's not going to work out.
yeah. I love that. I love the learning component, and it's an undervalued. I'm picturing in my mind, which I think is outdated now, the hierarchy of needs. Hierarchy of needs. I feel like it might not be up to date anymore. But when it comes to motivating your staff and keeping them engaged, wanting to come back to work the next day, that learning and the professional development side of things, keeping you engaged. And I think our tourism operators could do a better job of that with their own workforces as well, keeping them learning, keeping them engaged, reminding them that they're part of a bigger mission.
Yeah. How did you get your start in tourism?
I wanted to be a flight attendant. And I decided over the summer when I finished high school that I wanted to be a flight attendant. I picked up the phone. Back in the day in 1999, you could do a very expensive flight attendant course, maybe $3,000 or $5,000 or something, and it went for 6 weeks, but it sounded like an awful lot of money to me then. I picked up the phone and I called Qantas, the Australian airline, and I called their HR department. And I spoke to somebody there. Should I do this course or not? It's a lot of money for me. I'll have to save it up. Should I do it? The lovely lady was very frank with me and said, do not spend your money and your time doing this flight attendant course. We will train you. We have a dedicated flight attendant academy. If you are lucky enough to land a job with us, we don't care that you've already had training. You are better placed to go and work in retail or in customer service or in hospitality. And if you want to do some study while you're doing that, then maybe go study tourism or hospitality or something, and then wait for a recruitment round to come up. So that's what I did. And I went and I did an advanced diploma in tourism. And by the time I'd finished, I was madly in love and I didn't want to be a flight attendant anymore. Used my network created during my studying years, got myself a job in reservations for a ferry company that runs the ferry to Kangaroo Island off the coast of South Australia. I started in reservations and then that job ended up taking me to New Zealand, and I worked in product development and opened an office for them over there. I was in New Zealand and I worked at AJ Hackett Bungee, spent 7 years managing bungee sites in Australia and New Zealand and Japan. Worked in product development over the years and tour operations. I've been a tour guide and flitted around from one. This looks like an interesting opportunity. I say,
What was it about tourism that caught your interest?
I want to say
Or
something
what
really like.
holds your interest?
I grew up in Adelaide in South Australia, and I always knew I wanted to get out of Adelaide. Being a flight attendant or studying tourism seemed like a way I could do that. So when I had my son, I took 4 years off and raised my son. We were relocated to Tasmania here in Australia, and I was looking for some work back in the tourism industry when I decided to return to the workforce. I ended up moving into an events role and running professional development events for the Law Society of Tasmania because it fit around mum life and I'd had some experience in events previously. I did that for 3 years and then I returned to the tourism industry. My son was a bit older and at school, and I found a job with Destination Southern Tasmania, which is a regional tourism organisation in Tasmania. I remember I walked into my first day of work and everyone, there was 5 of us, gave me a hug. That organisation bangs out some work for 5 people, full plates all the time. Everyone got up and gave me a hug. And my first day of work was sort of monthly operator networking event. And I went along and I was just, so it had been a few years since I'd been in the tourism industry. I'd been used to being in the legal profession. And I was just so reminded how amazing my colleagues in the tourism industry are and how down to earth they are. This is really random, but I think about this often. If you cater for an event in the tourism industry, you have to cater for like double the amount of people that are going to be there. Because everyone's there for free food. In the legal profession, running professional development events, you would cater for half. No one's eating anything.
Yes, this is true. You're not shy about eating in front of.
I love to travel. It's very important to me and my family to expose my son to the world, but I love we in the tourism industry have the opportunity to make those memories for travelers and tourists and visitors to our place. And I love hospitality, not hospitality as in waitressing, but feeling like a tourist is a guest in your place and treating them as such. I love everything about it.
People in the tourist space, to do it well, you have to create a sense of wealth.
Yeah.
And you have to approach that with authenticity. So when you walk into a room full of people who are kind and generous, who are interested in sharing part of who they are with other people so that those other people have great experiences, it's a totally different vibe.
Yeah.
I'm a professional tourist. So I am in a bus touring North America all the time. And I get to stop in and visit some of the cities and destinations that we work. I'm always impressed when there is a local work or a local business meeting of some sort. Like, hey, come on over, stop in. And it's like walking into a room full of friends.
Yeah. It's
and
unreal.
I've had some wild experiences. I was in Brazil and reached out to some tourism contacts. It happened to be the U.S. Thanksgiving holiday. And before I knew it, I was invited to the ambassador's house for Thanksgiving dinner.
Oh, wow.
I was in Mexico. Next thing you know, I was invited to a 5-star luncheon with all of the tourism who's who in Southern Baja. Those sort of things happen in this industry. I don't see it happening so much in others. Not with that same level of sincerity.
Yeah, sincerity is real because, I mean, what is the landscape like in the US, Stephen? Is it also predominantly like small or micro operators?
You have some of those, but for the most part, when you're at a destination function, you're going to have probably a quarter of the small operators, probably a quarter of the medium-sized businesses, maybe the hotel companies or the bus companies.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these attractions get 1 million visitors a year, so I wouldn't call them small operations.
No.
And then you have the destination folks, the ancillary support industry, support businesses. So it's roughly a quarter of each.
I just asked that question because for me, when I walk into a room and it's full of operators, which, as I've said, in Australia is largely owners or members of very small teams, like those people are running the businesses that they run or working in the businesses that they work in. because they're interesting people and really down to earth and really care about what they're doing. Often weird. Yeah. And often weird, but
There
you know,
has to be
that's
something special about somebody who wants to lead a turtle tour. There's something about them that makes them different.
and that's great. We need that. Otherwise there are no turtle tours.
Yeah, I met a woman
So
who builds sandcastles for a living.
oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Like that's
The world needs
I would-
things.
and they're beautiful sandcastles, but
Yeah.
it's just one of those things I never would have thought of.
Yeah. The tourism industry is a special place, but through my eyes, tourism careers, in my opinion, have a real PR problem. Young people don't look at tourism as a real and a viable and a long-term career path. And I think that is a real shame. Even once we do all this work, we lose them, or we do in Australia anyway, because there's no real identified career pathway. There's no, this is what I'm going to do next. Not that everyone's driven to climb the ladder, but at least I can see that there's other opportunities for me, and we lose them. And it makes me very sad as someone that's had a long and exciting and delightful career in the industry. And I'm doing everything I can to try and change this.
I think that happens for a couple of reasons. The lower end of the entry level tourism scale, you have some not so glamorous jobs.
Mm.
You have housekeeping, desk at the hotel, hosting a restaurant, working a ticket museum. Those aren't glamorous jobs, and it's hard to see your way out of something like that where it's repetitious, mundane.
Mm.
I've interviewed over 300 CEOs in the tourism space, from small organizations to huge organizations. None of them knew that they wanted to work for a destination organization. Every single one of them had a serpentine career path. But we sat, we evaluated all of these interviews. So what is the career path?
Okay.
Because it's not clear. And it's skills.
Logically.
It's skills that you build at each level of your personal growth that allow you to grow to that next level. They're transferable skills. That's where people sometimes get caught up, because if you're in accounting, for example, you're going to look for an accounting job. You may not be looking for a job where you can apply all of the skills that you have. That might seem harder. That might seem different. It's change. Some people thrive in change, and some people, one of the things that I think people in the tourism space have to do is thrive in change, because you never know if the weather is going to change, if somebody doesn't show up, if somebody's late. There's a million things that could go wrong delivering a tourism product. And you have to be flexible. For those people who are flexible, they can see how those skills transfer.
That's an interesting point.
Just a thought.
I like it, but it's a shame that our industries aren't taken as seriously as they should be. And I also think there's an element of not every role in tourism is AI proof, but a lot of them are, for the foreseeable future anyway. I used to argue with my boss about this, and he would say we'll have AI tour guides, and we already see people walking around with headsets on around the waterfront and in Hobart and Tasmania and listening to whatever, ChatGPT, tell them what they're looking at. We know that travelers are looking for connection. We're lonelier than we've ever been. When we travel, we want to meet a place through the people, through the food, through the music, through local events. Largely, folks don't want to meet a place through AI or through a virtual tour guide. And I know that everyone's different, but I just think that that should be part of the thought process for young people when they're evaluating what their career options are this day and age. And I think we've got a way to go before AI takes over the tourism industry. I know that you worked heavily with tech. So have you got anything to say about that? Do you agree, disagree?
I agree. A lot of the tourism jobs can't be replaced by AI. They can't be replaced by technology. I agree that people are looking for authenticity, genuine human connection. They may not realize it, though, particularly younger people who have spent so much of their time on a screen interacting with others that they don't know what they're missing. You and I grew up with go outside and play.
Yeah.
You have to get along and make friends. A kid today can do their work online, play online, never have to deal with relationships,
Mm,
understanding the human element. That's a real opportunity for us in the tourism space,
yeah.
is to
That's,
remind people what humanity is,
yeah.
that human connection can be. And that's a layer of authenticity that can't be replaced by AI, can't be replaced by the virtual tour. And somebody says, when I'm on a trip as a solo traveler, and somebody says to me at 10 o'clock at night, meet us at 8 o'clock in the morning, go to the beach. And I say, okay, it might be the stupidest decision I ever made, but it was the most beautiful beach I've ever been to. And I spent 2.5 hours in a car with complete strangers. Like, okay, I didn't get jumped. It was good.
It was a beautiful beach.
It was a beautiful beach. It was a great day.
Okay,
It was
good.
a really
Yeah.
great day. But that's the kind of thing where in tourism, people invite you in. They're not
I
talking
think,
about sharing for the sake of sharing. They're inviting you to their home, community, their passion, their hobby. It's the human element that can't be replaced.
yeah. I love that you highlighted the fact that perhaps travelers don't realize that they're looking or wanting or will benefit from real human connection whilst they're traveling. That's an
I think
interesting
people
and
are
very
also scared to share, particularly young people. When you are compelled to talk to other people, you are compelled to share, it feels more natural.
yeah.
I hope that the people who are working in tourism have that same sense of wanting to invite others in.
Mm.
They do often with grace.
I think it's important for our frontline, but for everyone. It doesn't matter what cog you are in the wheel, whether you are marketing, whether you are finance. In a tourism business, the mission is the same, to provide memorable experiences for our guests. But particularly for the frontline staff, that sense of hospitality. I'm reading Unreasonable Hospitality for like the third time. I just love that book so much.
Well, I think
No, go on.
one of the things I think that makes a difference is teaching people to be storytellers. Storytelling is a passive way to let people into where you're from, what you do. An example I cite frequently is somebody asks for a restaurant recommendation at a hotel. The front desk agent can say, go to Jimmy's restaurant down the street. It's a recommendation.
Mm-hmm.
I see that you're here with your 2 kids. When my family wants to go out for something special, we go to Jimmy's down the street.
Mm.
One of those is a story. One of those gives the visitor the opportunity to feel like a local, as opposed to being a visitor forward place,
Mm.
some restaurant.
Mm.
I think that art of storytelling is something we try to teach in every class.
Yeah.
It has to be.
I think in that example you've given there, to get the buy-in from the frontline staff to even want to tell stories when they're 8 hours into a 12-hour shift, I think it's a challenge.
Yeah.
For
They have.
Go on.
Sorry.
It's a challenge, and it's ongoing training and development for our teams, making sure the needs of your staff are met in terms of what motivates your staff. What's going to get your frontline staff to want to tell a story? I'm sorry, I'm antagonistic sometimes because I look at everything through the frontline operator's lens. What's going to get your not quite minimum wage, but probably pretty close minimum wage frontline staff to be inspired enough to want to tell a story?
It comes down to a couple factors. One being appreciation.
Mm.
They have to understand what sort of impact they can make
Mm.
in a visitor's day or trip or life. They have to understand that they also have to feel empowered.
Yes.
And thirdly, they have to have license
Mm.
to have the freedom to do things. Ritz-Carlton has any employee to a certain amount of dollars to wow a guest.
Did you write about this recently? I'm sure I've read about this.
I write a lot.
I read that somewhere recently.
I think it's a $2,500 but any employee can spend $100 to wow a guest. The employees understand the value of that, the impact on the business, and the impact on the visitor experience. They understand that as a responsibility, not just freedom that they use it very well.
Yeah.
They use it very well. It makes a difference. People have a license to do the nice thing.
Yeah.
They have to know they're going to be appreciated for doing the nice thing.
Yeah.
Those of us lucky to work with good managers at the start of our career.
Yeah.
We're in different places than those who are troublesome managers.
That's a diplomatic term. Troublesome managers.
Yeah.
We've all had them. When you see it done right, or when you are the receiver of a manager or a leader that can get that right and know how that feels, I can think of a couple of standout examples throughout my career where I've truly felt like I was part of a machine. Probably not the right wording, because I say that in a fabulous way. Like, we were on the same mission every day. And I'm referring to AJ Hackabungi here. We literally are changing people's lives every day. We are ticking things off bucket lists 100, 200, 300 times every single day. God, we had a good time doing it. And we all were steering the ship in the same direction. That's a good metaphor.
People have to understand the value that they have. You recognize that they're an important piece of the machine.
And I think for our
like
industry,
they're disposable, then they feel.
Yeah. That doesn't work for workforce retention, and it doesn't work for the visitor experience, which then doesn't work well for the business. It doesn't work well for the destination. Everything comes back to our people. I went and did a fun activity with my son, and it should have been a bucket list experience.
I'm thinking of other similar moments I've had where I'm like, I won't mention what this is because I know where the story is going. It didn't work out quite the way you hoped it would.
The tourism experience does a lot of the heavy lifting if it's well crafted. The experience itself was great, but the people delivering the experience were, I think, quite hungover and not interested in being on a boat with a 40-something-year-old and a 10-year-old, 7 o'clock in the morning. And it ignored us the whole way. And it was such a lackluster overall experience. It costs nothing for your staff to say hello and how you going, and those magical little touch points. I don't think as an industry as a whole we do enough to engage them, retain them, attract them, support them, develop them, and take a more holistic view of the industry as a whole. In Australia anyway, 95% of operators being so small, we don't have the luxury of being able to send them off for professional development events.
Yeah, I don't know that we have to send people off for professional development. A big part of training is leading by example and peer-to-peer learning. I've shown up hungover to inhabit power.
Oh, yeah, don't even, Stephen.
Probably just once.
Yeah, just that one time, never did it again.
If the audience could hear me roll my eyes. But I worked with managers and I'm like, that one's having a rough morning. And then you see how they power.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not poking fingers at people that roll up to work hungover, but you do have to own it. You might be hungover, but you still got to have that smile on your face and you have to show your guests a damn good time. That's your fault if you're hungover.
Luckily, I was never hungover having to deal with that on a rock boat. I grant a license to your tour guide. I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself.
It's okay. I don't mind introducing myself at the end.
Sure.
I'm Carmen Bold. I've had 25 years experience in the tourism and events industry, and now my focus is on workforce and industry capability. So that means attracting, retaining, and engaging people into the tourism industry, trying to keep them here, but then also critically working with the operators to make sure that our tourism operators have the skills needed to be able to do that for their workforce. and also funnel that through to the visitor experience. That is also part of what I do, and really using your human beings to develop your visitor experience and give your visitors the best experience they can have, which that's fine if you're going to do it hungover, but just don't let them know that you're hungover. But that's what I do.
And then sober up.
That's sober up. Or don't, whatever. It doesn't bother. Just don't let anyone know.
Exactly. Live the dream, right?
That's it.
We'll ask you one last question. What is the most kind thing you've ever experienced?
Find.
Yeah.
I met a Japanese boy. I shouldn't say he was a boy. He was probably 18 years old when I was working at AJ Hackett. And my colleague and I were about to take our first trip to Japan. And he came in and did a bungee jump. And we said, Kenji, we are coming to Japan in a couple of weeks. We should hang out with you while we're there. And he said, sure, no worries. Here's my email address. And we emailed him, and we arrived at Osaka airport, and there was Kenji, and there was Kenji's dad, and there was Kenji's mum, and there was Kenji's sister. And they took us out to the car, and we stayed with them for a week. We didn't spend a single yen. They took us everywhere. The hospitality was unreal. Took us up to their holiday home up in the hills, and it was the most amazing experience. You can feel it. You can feel the kindness when someone's heart opens and says, welcome. It was very hospitable, but the kindness underneath that was like, you are here in our country and we are going to hold nothing back. We got you, was unbelievable. So that is the kindest thing.
That story.
Yeah, it was a good one. Now, can I ask you one question before we sign off? And for my listeners, can you give me the highlight reel of your career before you started Learn Tourism and why you started it?
So I worked in sales and product development for experiences and productions for the first 10 years of museums, restaurants, theater, activities. I would come in and identify what could be developed, amplified, build secondary spend. Get that up. After 10 or 12 years, I went consulting. And I did a similar function for destinations. So a destination might call and say, listen, we have a soft period in our calendar during the fall. My job would be to come into the destination, look at everything that they have to offer, identify what experience can be exploited during the fall period, identify what activities might appeal to visitors who travel during the fall, and then how they market to those audiences.
Right.
So an example would be I'd fly out to California, the Japanese classic Americana. Route 66, the vintage signage, it's something that they love. And I identified 20 things market that would appeal to that audience. This is how you speak to them, how you put out to the Japanese market. Or in that same destination, fly fishing. Every time we crossed a bridge, I noticed people fly fishing, but they'd never marketed themselves as a fly fishing destination.
Oh, wow. Okay.
3 weeks later, there was an article in Forbes. Fly fishing. I did that for about 10 years. Somewhere along the way, I had this aha moment that my passion was not in travel. It was the fact that I got to learn. My passion is learning. And along with that aha was a recognition that the training and education in the tourism space wasn't cut. Terrible.
Amen.
So there's got to be a better way to do this. And if nobody else is doing it, I can figure this out. So 5 years of research, testing, and analysis, and I learned so much. And then COVID struck. So what had been a back burner project with my consultant, I finally had this choice. Like, do I want to rebuild a consultant business that I've had for 10 years from scratch? Or do I want to do something new? I want to do something that's going to allow me to keep learning. I want to do something with a greater difference, bigger. And that's how Learn Tourism got started. We are a nonprofit or an NGO. We operate now in 30 countries.
Yeah.
So we're a bunch of nerds. People would love to learn, share what we learn. In the same way that I think we should treat our visitors.
Yeah.
We learn about them, and they learn from us. It's a two-way street.
Congratulations to you, because it's no mean feat to have a business still going after 10 years. So well done to you.
Trust me, it took a few years of not getting paid.
Yeah. All the good ones do.
Yeah, it's making up for it now in ways that I never foreseen. But I am happier. I'm surrounded by better people. The work that we do is much more appreciated than anything before. Works.
Well done.
Thanks. If
Can
folks
I have more
touch,
question?
sure.
I
Yes,
swear
I
on the
am, but
big
I
one.
only did it one time in college. That's the answer.
Perfect. I'm going to fill that gap.
Go for it. Dream big.
Did you intend on working in the tourism industry or the travel
No.
industry? What? No. Did you know what you wanted to do when you finished school? Did you
No.
study when you finished school?
So I studied marketing.
Marketing.
And that seemed like a good fit. Like, oh, I can talk to people and make things sound interesting. I held the record for most candy bars sold during our school fundraiser.
Oh my God. Wow. 6.
How many did I eat? That's probably a better question.
Yeah, you sold them to yourself.
Yeah, I did. So I got a job working at a theme restaurant, very
Okay.
Disney-esque theme restaurant.
Right.
They needed a sales manager, so I said, I'll do it. I don't want to wait tables for the rest of it.
Okay.
So I decided to be a sales manager for the restaurant. They ended up creating educational programming that would get school kids in before the restaurant went public and secondaries. I also worked for a staffing company that did temporary and permanent placement in a wide variety of industries and a wide variety of job functions. And I did that for about a year leading up to 9/11. What was really fascinating about that job was that I got to learn about almost every type of industry that existed.
Right.
I got to learn about almost every type of job function. I got to learn about different work environments. I got to learn about the financials and incentives, pay packages. After doing that for a year, I realized those jobs suck. I like what I'm doing in the restaurant.
Yeah.
And then I got a job working
okay.
in New York City. One
Okay,
thing
thank
led
you.
to another. They all built upon each other.
Yeah.
Well, if folks
One
want to get
question.
in touch with you, Carmen, how would they do so?
Yes. You can do so on LinkedIn. Just look me up, Carmen Bold, or my website, carmenbold.com. That'll get me.
Fantastic. And learntourism.org or Stephen with a PH, EKSTROL. You are a delight.
I do what I can. You two are a delight, Stephen. This was fun.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
think we get to work together more in the future.
Thanks for tuning in to Business Class. This episode was brought to you by Learn Tourism, the nonprofit academy where we advance the tourism industry with cutting-edge training and sustainable practices. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to visit learntourism.org to learn more about our programs and how you can get involved. Until next time, stay curious, continue learning and making a difference through tourism.